Hey everyone, it's Rob B here with Rob D. And if you are listening to this on the day it goes out on December the 26th, well, happy Boxing Day to you. If you've celebrated Christmas or not, I hope you've had a wonderful festive period. And I hope you aren't feeling too full and you haven't overindulged too much. You are joining us on one of our shortest podcasts of the year. And it's always slotted in this week between Christmas and New Year. It's a time when we just reflect on 2024 for property, for the world, and a little bit of our own personal reflections as well of how the year's gone. Rob, let's start with property. And this was not meant to be a good year for property. All the predictions said it was going to be poor. We're going to go backwards with house prices. The market wasn't resilient. Sentiment was low. And none of that transpired to be true.
No, we were talking about this recently and just saying it's really hard to remember what sentiment was like a year ago. Because however the world is now, we just kind of assume that it's always been that way. But a year ago, sentiment was really negative, like really negative. It wasn't quite mini budget territory, but people were not feeling good about where the property market was going. But that started to unravel pretty early in the year. And I think by sort of like March-ish, we could tell that that's not how things were going to turn out. It's actually going to be a pretty normal year. And I think that's what it turned out to be in the end for property. It wasn't an incredible year. It wasn't a boom year. Nothing that unexpected happens. It's not like interest rates suddenly dropped back down to 2% and the market went bonkers. Everything played out pretty much as expected, but the market proved to be more resilient in the face of all those events than people had predicted. So it really was just a year for trucking along and getting on with it.
And as far as property goes, it wasn't that exciting, but that's good. That's what you want as a property investor. You just want it to be steady. You just want it to be a decent year. You're not looking for fireworks in terms of property prices firing up, and you're not looking for it to all implode either, and where property prices crash. We've talked about cycles so often, and something that I particularly bang on a lot about is that you'll need a boom before you get a bust. And we haven't had that boom. And I know some people will want a boom, but you don't really, even if it's a 5-year boom, because you know what will happen afterwards. So a boom is enjoyable and you should make hay while the sun shines, but it will then go the other way. And people will be irrational around the up and the down. And it's easier for people to operate when the market is just ticking along as it is right now. I think what's really going to be interesting, Rob, is it's close to make or break now for Fred Harrison and the 18-year property cycle. I've wiped my hands with it. I'm not saying I hate it or anything like that. I've found it super useful and I feel it was on track to work until COVID kicked in. But we are at a point now that unless something dramatically changes, that cycle hasn't worked out this time around. And you can explain why, and I think COVID would be a good reason why it hasn't worked. But at the moment, there are some purists, and Fred Harrison obviously being one of them, who believes that no, it still is going to happen.
A lot can change in 2 years, Rob. It could happen. I also don't think it will, but Fred is still very much defending his view. It could still happen, but I certainly acknowledge that it seems unlikely. Beyond property and in the world in general, we had a lot of drama this year, didn't we? A lot of excitement because we had so many elections around the world. Of course, we had the inevitability of a Labour government. It happened a lot earlier than people were expecting it to, but I don't think the result was ever in any doubt. And of course, we had the US election as well, which of course was a much closer run thing. These, for me, Rob, are events that are certainly not inconsequential. I'm not saying that they don't matter, but coming at it from a pure property investor's point of view, I don't think it matters anywhere near as much as people let on. So, of course, in the case of the UK election in particular, property investors are very fearful of a Labour government. The Labour government has come in and is putting through rental reform pretty much as predicted. There are a couple of little surprises in there, but nothing major. But I think a lot of people are fearful that they'd come in and just destroy the rental sector just for a laugh. But the reality is, of course, that's not going to happen. And the market has been through a lot in the past, lots of different regimes, lots of unexpected twists and turns. But ultimately, it needs to exist and it will continue to exist. But it's so hard not to get swept up in all this. It happened to me this year. I ended up paying far more attention than I should do to events in both the US and the UK. But it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really make much difference to my business or my life or anything else. But it is so hard to stay out of it. So I certainly hope, but it might be a forlorn hope, that 2025 has less drama in it. But even if it has the same amount of drama, I'm going to resolve to do a better job of insulating myself from it.
I think that's a good thing, Rob. And it's hard because there is lots going on in the world. But something we have to remind ourselves of, or at least be aware of, is recency bias. And if we probably feel right now is super eventful in the world, and right now it's different. But actually, it was super eventful last year, and it was super eventful the year before, and it was super eventful the year before that. It's just that it doesn't feel as intense now because it's the past. And if you look at property data from 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'll just see it going up, and there'll be some wobbles along the way, but it just goes up. And that's what you have to remember when you're a property investor and a business owner as well. Wherever you do, these world events, they might not be nice, and often they're not, but do they impact you on a day-to-day level? They can annoy you, they can upset you, and that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. But what you should never, ever do is use them as an excuse to stop you achieving the things that you want to do in life. And for me, that's something I feel very passionate about. And a message I try and get across on the podcast on a fairly frequent basis is these events, whether they're domestic or international, they will not determine if you are successful or not. You can, if you want, use them as an excuse, and you'll feel free to do it. But the only person that's going to believe you is yourself. So you can tell yourself a story if you want, but it is just a story. So a strong reminder at this reflective time of the year, and particularly when you may be starting to look forward and looking at 2025, the external is just noise. And it is noise that you're allowed to feel emotional about, but just do not let that external distract you from what is important for you to achieve in 2025, because that's all it is. It's a distraction. There are potential stories in waiting to why you can't achieve something. Do not let those stories enter the main part of your life, because you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in 2025 if you are focused and determined and resilient. And it doesn't mean it's all going to go your way, but if you decide that you are ultimately in control of next year, and if you are successful, it's down to you, and if you fail, you're down to you, then you're the type of person I'm going to back.
Yeah, you cannot hear that message too many times because it is so hard to internalize, but so important. And of course, talking about striving and trying to achieve things, one of the main ways in which we do that is through our business. And I've got to say, Rob, looking ahead to 2025, I've never felt more positive about our business. We've been doing this for a long time now. We've been through lots of ups and downs, but I'm feeling great going into a new year. And to come back to your theme, that's not because of anything else out there in the world. It's not because the market's working in our favour or because the government's doing anything in particular. It's because of us. I think we got better at this stuff over the years. And as a result of that, we've now attracted the strongest team that we've ever had. And I think we're doing the best job we ever have of keeping that team focused and harnessing everyone's energies and talents in the right direction. So I'm feeling great about this year for business. And if it's not a great year, then it's no one's fault but our own. Yeah,
truth be told, we've got to this point of the year before and we have just stumbled into the year. Like, we've been a wreck, both physically and mentally, because it's been so hard and so tough. But we've been through that. We've learned the lessons, and that's important. It's learning the lessons. When it gets hard, that's when the lessons are given. Taking those lessons and then operating in a far better way. And 2024 for business has been brilliant. But like you, Rob, I'm excited about what can be achieved in 2025 because we've laid a great foundation for growth and a great foundation for delivering a better service than we've ever delivered before. What we do as a business, I feel, is absolutely top notch. I'm really proud of what we deliver for our investors. I'm proud of the team that we've created. And I'm excited, like you are, about what 2025 brings for the business because we've all worked so hard to put it in a really strong position moving forward. So I'm feeling good. I'm glad for the rest. It's not because I'm a wreck, I need it. It's just a little pause, a little time to reflect, and then let's go. 2025, let's do it.
Let's do it. And you know what? That is another year of the podcast wrapped up. That is just done for 2024. Thank you for joining us. If you listen to this episode, you are one of the hardcore. You're one of our favourites, so thank you.
You really are.
But if you've listened to any of our podcasts this year, really appreciate it. It means a lot. I know some people as well, if you're listening, have been with us for many, many years. And that means a heck of a lot because there aren't many podcasts that I've stuck with for multiple years. So we really appreciate your support. But if you're newer around here, then you're very welcome too. And we'll do our very best to make 2025 the best year for the podcast yet as well. And do our very best to bring you everything you need to help you thrive as a property investor in the new year. Until we kick things off for 2025 though, enjoy your break, happy new year, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.